Hi. So here we are, another Friday and another video. I hope you guys are enjoying them and you give us a thumbs up and a share, and I'd love to see where you're from and any comments. It's always nice to know you guys are watching. So today I thought we would talk about the differences and benefits to design positioning and projection in the hoop. So this is a project I'm doing for a class, and it's an edge-to-edge quilting. I've assembled the top, and now I'm just filling in the blanks, as they say. And for me, when I do edge-to-edge quilting, I take it into software and I add, because I'm lazy, you guys know I'm lazy, and I have software, so I'm allowed to be lazy. So I take the design into software and I make it an endless design. So what that does is I get corner points to the design that help me align it. So in addition to the start of the edge to edge and the end, I also have tops and bottoms. So I can be aligned across and I don't have gaps, or I don't run over if I'm not lined up the design before it. So if this was my line of stitches, I have no run over of this design into this one, and it's all nice and straight, and I don't have to do math, which I hate, and I don't have to mark anything up, lickety split. All I do is I add a 1/4 inch line across the top of my quilt and a 1/4 inch on the side to the left, and that lets me line up my rows. I start at the left, I go all the way across. You guys have heard me say this before, and whatever piece I gotta fill in at the end, I cut that design with software, and I just end up with the chunk I need to fill in the space. But I digress. Today, so I use design positioning, or now they call it exact positioning, but I use design positioning to find those 4 corners as well as my start point so that the design is seamless. But we had a Epic 3 class this week where we talked about projection. So that was something new for the girls to learn as far as what does projection do for me in things like this. So I took out my trusty manual, and I'm going to read this to you really quick because I think it helps you to understand that design positioning, I am positioning the design, although sometimes I'll use it, like in this case, to move my fabric to where I want the design to be. I don't really move it. I'm not really moving the design itself. I'm positioning the fabric. So that runs a little closer to projection than design positioning. So if we look on page 127 in your manual, it says projection in embroidery stitch out. You can use the projector to help when positioning a design on the fabric. You may want to cover a stain, place another design in relation to an already embroidered one, or put your design on, for instance, a pocket or on a quilt. So when the projection is activated, the projector will show an image of the embroidery design to be projected onto your hooped fabric. The crosshair shown on the screen corresponds to the machine's needle position. The projector has a projection area of 4 inches by 2.4 inches in front of the needle. If the embroidery design is larger than that projection area, the part of the design that fits inside the projection area is shown on the fabric. So what does that mean for me? That means that I can, here's my design here, I can turn on projection. Here's my hoop that I'm using today, and it automatically turns my background fabric, my background color I turned to a dark color, so my design will really show up. So my projection is on. I'm going to get that out of the way so you can see. And this is the move hoop function. So what that's doing for me, if I look here, Remember I said it's 2.4 inches from the needle forward and 4 inches wide. So now I can take this and I can move it to where my start point is, and I can actually align my start point. Let's see. So if I want to move the hoop, so say this design is obviously much bigger than the 2.4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the hoop to the point where I can see it's projecting the piece I need. What I need is this start point right here. So if I move my hoop, there's my crosshair. So that is my needle position. I can move this backwards. I'm moving the hoop forwards so that what I'm going to see, if you can see, it's moving the hoop forward so I can see further back in the design. Then over here, I'm going to move my needle position, or actually I'm moving the hoop so that the needle will line up. So my needle position is here. There's the beginning of my design. So if I look over here, there's my needle position. And there's the beginning of my design. So I can line that right up just like that. I hope you can see this. It might be hard. Can you see it?
I can see the projection.
Okay.
It's white.
So that is the beginning of my design. It's perfectly aligned with where I left off in the last design. So now I can just take a magnet and flip that under there. I forgot to tell you guys my hoop. Don't look at my dirty hoop, it's dirty. My dirty hoop is under there, and I can use my magnet to keep that quilt all lined up. I'm gonna do the rest of my magnet so that it's all lined up, and then I can just let it stitch out. So what is the difference here? The difference is that I did not move my design to suit my fabric. I moved my fabric to suit the design. So I hope that makes sense to you. It's two ways to achieve the same process. So instead of moving my design on the screen so that it worked with where the fabric was hooped, I'm using the projection to line up my fabric, and then it's going to sew where I expect it to sew. And moving the hoop eliminates the problem of only having a little projection, because I can move the hoop to the point where it's showing me the piece of the design that I needed to line up. So, gosh, that was a lot of information, and you guys are so patient with me. Again, give us a thumbs up. Any questions with my blathering on, put it down in the comments. And I hope you guys all learned something. So that's all I have to say about that. Keep stitching.